All right. Hey, everybody. How you doing? This is Alex from Knuckle Sandwich MMA, and I am coming late to the game. I got to admit. Okay, I'm licking my wounds because I picked some losers on the last fight card, but I am excited for the new fight card coming up. Oh man! Wow, what a fight card that was, huh? What a fight card that was. I'm not going to go over every single fight of the last fight card. However, I do want to touch, of course, on the obvious, the talk of the town, the new hero, the new superstar, up-and-coming superstar, Joaquin Buckley. His fight with Impa Kasangane was epic, to say the least. It was a fantastic fight. And he looked like he was the stronger of the two. I had picked Impa to win that fight just because I didn't know very much about Joaquin Buckley. Now I know a lot about Joaquin Buckley. He's the guy that did these roundhouse kick while Kasangane was holding his leg. He had his leg and he trapped it and he held it up. And this dude spun around, lifted his leg up, kicked him in the face, knocked him stiff. I mean, he boarded out, fell backwards, and he was out, man. And that's a great highlight for Joaquin Buckley, but not a great highlight for Kasangane. It's going to take him a little while to overcome that because that's going to be on highlight reels for years and years and years to come. In fact, Kanye West, he made a song that was inspired by that kick and that knockout. And so it's going to have legs, man. It's going to go a long way because Kanye West, when he throws a new track down, millions and millions and millions of people listen to it. And it's a pretty good track too, by the way, pretty good track. But he uses that clip of the knockout over and over again through that video. And man, what an amazing knockout. Everybody was impressed. Everybody that's anybody was impressed. And so, what can you say about it? Other than way to go. Now, this dude's going to be able to write his own ticket. I believe he got a bonus. I know he got $50K, but I think he got another bonus too. I think he walked away with a total of $100,000 in bonuses, not to mention his fight money. So he did really, really well. And he's going to be, he's going to be one of those guys that will have a quick turnaround and fight again because he didn't really receive any damage, and he checked out with his health records. Everything was clean, so I think he's going to have a quick turnaround coming up pretty quick. In fact, I think they did book it. I cannot recall it off the top of my head. However, I do want to say this. Okay, I did not pick as well as I thought I did, as I thought I was going to. So I'm going to just touch on the main card fights, and then we're going to move on to UFC Fight Night Ortega versus the Korean Zombie. Okay, so Yosef Zalal and Ilia Topuria. That was a pretty good fight. Topuria was controlling the fight the whole game, the whole fight, and Zalal was very good at evasive, but he was not throwing a lot of strikes. And Topuria won that fight by unanimous decision, I believe. But he was gassing out at the end. But he was doing all the work too. Zalal was moving around and he kept evading him. But when they did engage, Topuria was definitely the aggressor the whole fight, and he had the most significant strikes. So I picked Zalal on that one, so I lost it. Okay. Next up, we have Tom Aspinall versus Ellen Boudreaux. Thank you. And I did pick Tom Aspinall to win just because I saw him fight, and he knocked the dude out. He's been finishing guys in the first round, and he did the same thing with Ellen Boudreaux. And it was this Tom Aspinall, he's like too fast for the heavyweight division, in my opinion. He looks more like he fights more like a light heavyweight, but he's really good. He's a big dude. He's rangy, and he's not afraid to engage. And he throws some fast strikes, and he has good jabs as well. So I did pick that one correctly, but Tom Aspinall was the winner of that one. Let's move along. Marcus Perez, and he was the dude dressed like the Joker when they did their face-off. He's a pretty cool dude. He looked good. He was looking good at the beginning versus Dricus Duplessis, and this is the South African dude that I believe was making his UFC debut. I think he was making his UFC debut. And I went back and actually watched some of his fights, and this guy, he's a mean dude, man. He's a mean guy. He's very unassuming because he puts his hands up and he grimaces a lot, like he doesn't want to get hit, and just the way he moves, you just don't think that, this guy seems like he's a little afraid. Not afraid, but he's like afraid to get hit or something, because he was grimacing and that kind of stuff. It's like, ooh, there's a punch coming, but once he opens up, man, he goes for the kill. I mean, this dude does not mess around. It was a great fight. Marcus Perez put on a great fight. He's moving around. He's very rangy, and he moved very, very well. I like the way that he was controlling the ring. And he was, in a sense, he was outstriking in the early round Duplessis, but then Duplessis got him and just went into him and knocked him out. And it was a great fight. But once he rocked him, there was no stopping. He just went for the kill. And I know that's what the UFC loves. They love it when you go for the kill. They're not partial to, they don't like decisions. They like finishes. And so this guy, I think, is going to fit in very, very well. Great fight. Marcus Perez will bounce back because he's a good fighter too. But, and it wasn't luck. This guy just, when you smell blood and you go for it, that makes it for a dangerous fighter, very, very dangerous fighter. All right, next up, I did pick a wrong one on this one. Ben Rothwell for heavyweight against Marcin Tybura. And wow, Marcin is looking really, really good since he's come back to the UFC. I believe he was released a while ago. He went out to some smaller venues and kept winning, and then they brought him back, and he's been winning ever since. I think this is either his second or third in a row, probably second in a row winning. But he looked really good. I mean, his striking, Ben Rothwell is one of those dudes that moves forward and throws a lot of strikes from weird angles. But Marcin Tybura was, they were engaging. It's like he walked back a little bit, but then they were just kind of jockeying for position back and forth. But I'll tell you what, Marcin was more accurate with his strikes, and he was picking him apart with the jab. He was blustering up his face pretty good. And then he got the TKO over Ben Rothwell because he just kept pressuring and it didn't stop. And his cardio, his conditioning looked great. He's here to stay. He doesn't want to get caught by the UFC again, but he put on a fantastic fight. It was a great fight. Next up, we have Edson Barbosa, and I did choose Edson to win this one over Makwan Amirkhani. And Marquand is, as I mentioned in the pre-fight show, he's a great wrestler, and he kind of was getting picked apart on the feet by Edson. And Edson just started throwing leg kicks, and I was just saying to myself, Marquand, get out of there. Don't let him kick those legs, because it's only going to take 3 or 4, and then you're going to be hobbling. You're not going to be moving. And but Edson pulled out his striking and everything like that. Marquand did get him down a couple of times, but Edson did stuff a number of takedowns. And when he got him down, he really couldn't hold him down. Edson's ground game, is looking better and better. He's a guy with a mission. But you know what? You gotta give it up to Amirkhani, because he came in on a short notice, and he did a pretty good job. I want to see him fight again, because I think that was just a bad matchup for him. It was a bad matchup for him. But I think if he gets another guy that's closer to his range, seeing as Edson Barbosa was in the top, I think 5 or 6, I think Americani will do well, but he looks strong. Americani looks strong. I didn't realize how big he was, but he looked a little bit bigger than Edson Barbosa. But you know, Edson got the win, so congratulations to Edson. Let's move on to the main event, and that was Corey Sandhagen and Marlon Moraes. Now, I picked that one wrong too. I just thought Moraes was going to come back, and he was going to. I kind of hedged my bets, to be honest with you. I said, you know, if it goes to the ground, or you know, Corey Sandhagen. If it stays on the feet, Marlon Moraes. But the opposite occurred. Corey Sandhagen was so much bigger, taller, rangier than Marlon Moraes. Marlon Moraes looked really small as far as stature in that octagon. And just when you saw Sandhagen throwing those jabs, he just seemed like he was forever away from Marlon Moraes. And then he threw that head kick, man. And that's a Marlon Moraes move. He pulled a Moraes on Moraes, right? And he kicked him perfectly with the shin right on the top of his head and made his eyes go a little cross-eyed, and then finished him on the ground. Marlon Moraes, you know, post-fight, he said he thought the ref stopped a little early. It wouldn't have mattered at that point. Moraes was, I won't say out on his feet, but he was not able to defend himself. And if that ref hadn't stepped in, he would have taken unnecessary punishment because Corey Sandhagen was all over him. I mean, all over him. And so I think the ref saved him from unnecessary damage. Live to fight another day, Marlon. But Corey Sandhagen, he looked spectacular. He was flawless, in my opinion. Everything that he did was calculated, was his ring jockeying and the way that he, his IQ, his fight IQ and everything that he was using. He just shut Moraes down because Moraes was losing anyway. You know, he was getting touched up, and Corey Sandhagen is proven. You know, I don't know, man. The way he lost to Aljamain Sterling, it just tells me that he had an off night because he looked fantastic against Moraes. Remember, Moraes knocked out Aljamain Sterling, and Aljamain Sterling beat Corey Sandhagen. So that's kind of a weird dynamic right there. But Marlon Moraes, you know, he's definitely going to drop down in the rankings. Corey Sandhagen, he kind of stood up for Aljamain Sterling and said, hey, he deserves the next shot at Petr Yan. So he's going to wait, and then he's going to obviously take the winner of those two. So that's going to be a good fight. But Corey Sandhagen, wow, he looked great. It was a great fight card. Super fantastic. And that's all I'm going to say about that fight card because we've got another one. And I do apologize for not getting back sooner on that fight card. I got a little busy, but let's talk about this next fight card because it is super exciting as well. All right. So we have Thomas Almeida versus Jonathan Martinez. Now, Jonathan Martinez just fought not too long ago. And he's looking really, really good, man. He's got some great boxing skills. He's also got some great kicks as well. Thomas Almeida, good jiu-jitsu guy. I don't think his boxing skills match Jonathan Martinez's skills. However, they're both rangy fighters. This is for the featherweight. It's a featherweight bout. And Thomas Almeida has been out of the fight game for a little bit. I think I can't remember if he had injuries or if he was cut and then brought back. I'm not sure on the backstory there, but I'm going to go out on a limb, okay, and I'm going to throw my chips towards Jonathan Martinez. I think he's going to finish Thomas Almeida. I think he's got a point to prove, and I think if he finishes Almeida, because Almeida's still got a good name. If he finishes him, he's gonna look really, really good in the eyes of the fans and the UFC as well. And then next up we have Claudio Silva versus James Krause. Now I believe James Krause is a late fill-in. Claudio's original opponent fell out, and I'm not sure why. Maybe COVID. You know, you're going to err on the side of caution and say COVID and go with that. But James Krause he's been on a really, really good tear lately too. He's been filling in for, you know, a lot of fights, but he's been winning them. And so Krause has been looking really, really good. Claudio Silva, Also a really good fighter and great jiu-jitsu. Those dudes are dangerous, man. The Brazilians are really dangerous when it comes to jiu-jitsu. But James Krause, he always seems to have a point to make, and the UFC loves it when somebody steps in and fills in a slot, especially when it's kind of a last minute type of a thing. And Krause steps up, and if he wins, man, he just he extends his UFC lifestyle, I guess, or his lifespan, I should say, of then he's going to be a go-to guy. And is he going for a belt? No, he's probably not. He's kind of getting to that age where he's not probably going to go for a belt. However, his record is not bad. He's 27-9-0. Claudio Silva is 14-1-0, so he's got a great record. Krause is a little bit taller. He's 6'2" to Silva's 5'11", and the reach advantage is about 2.5 inches for Krause. He does have a higher TKO rate of 30% to Silva's 14%. But the sub is pretty close, similar. We've got 64% for Silva and 52% for Krause. So Krause is no slouch on the ground, but he does have an advantage on the feet. And his striking, significant strikes are up quite a bit, almost double of Silva. So Silva is a jiu-jitsu kind of guy. And their significant strikes are even though he has more than double the significant strikes of Silva. And absorb per minute, Krause takes a little bit more heat at almost double that of Silva. And the grappling is definitely leaning towards Silva, as well as the takedown accuracy. Takedown defense is 50-50, so you got that going for you. And then submissions, Silva is definitely favored in the submission arena. So who am I going to go with, you say? Well, I'm going to go with Claudio. I'm going to go with Claudio Silva. I think he's going to submit James Krause. Okay, I think he's because they both have 50% in takedown defense. If Claudio can get him up against the fence, I think he'll take Krause down, and I think he will submit him. All right, let's move on to the next one. Jim Crute for light heavyweight versus Modestas Bukauskas. And I can't mention too much on this fight just because I don't think I've ever seen Modestas Bukauskas fight before. I have seen Jim Crute, and he's a pretty good fighter. Let's look at their stats and see what they have. So they're both got great fighting records. Jim Crute 11-1-0, Modestas 11-2. Crute is from Australia. Modestas is from Lithuania. Height is pretty even, 6'2" to 6'3". And they don't have any stats on Modestas' reach or his leg reach, so that's interesting. By TKO, Modestas is a knockout guy. Apparently, he's got a 70% ratio to Crute's 40%, but subs, Crute is up a little bit, 30% to 20%, and decision, Crute is up 30% to 10%. So it looks like Modestas is a finisher, and Crute has a higher decision rate. And then other than that, they don't really have much stats on Modestas, so we'll leave it at that. But I'm going to pick Crute on this one, just because there's more available information for him than Modestas. So I'm going to go with Crute on that one, but that's going to be a toss-up. I have no idea who's going to really win that one. Next up, we have Katlyn Chookagian versus Jessica Andrade for the women's flyweight division. And this one is going to be really interesting because you've got Katlyn Chookagian, who is the #1 prospect, and Jessica Andrade is #2. Keep in mind, Jessica Andrade just lost to Rose Namajunas, Thug Rose. And so she's got a lot to prove. She wants to. Now, Caitlin Chukagian, she is definitely a lot taller and a lot rangier than Jessica Andrade. Let's go over their records real quick. Caitlin is 14-3-0. Jessica is 20-8-0. Last fight for Caitlin was a win, and the last fight for Jessica was a loss. And I just mentioned to Thug Rose, Caitlin's from the United States, and Jessica's from Brazil. Now, here's where the big difference comes in, you guys. The height, Caitlin is 5'9", and Jessica Andrade is 5'1". There's an 8-inch difference there. That's crazy. Let's look at the reach. Whoa, look at that reach. So the reach is 68 inches for Caitlin to 62 inches Jessica. Leg reach, holy smokes, 42 inches for Caitlin, 35 inches for Jessica. So Jessica has, just by that, Jessica's got to get inside. But you know what? She's an inside fighter anyway. She's learned to fight that way because she is so small. And she's used, and I don't know that there's anybody shorter than her or smaller than her as far as, not muscular wise, but leg wise, leg reach and arm reach. I don't think anybody's smaller than her. So she's used to getting in and throwing big bombs. And when she gets in and she throws a bomb, you got to watch it, dude, because she'll knock you out. Let's look at their KO and TKO. So here's the tail of the tape, right? Chukagian is 15% on KO or TKO. So she is a decision machine right there. And Andrade, you've seen her knock people out, and she's at 35%. So she's got a lot of power, And submissions, Caitlin is even less at 8%. And Jessica, submissions, she's still at 35%. So she's got two ways. She's got two ways to take out Chukagian. And on decisions, Chukagian is at 77%, while Jessica is at 30%. So she's pretty standard across the board, but she seems to have more tools when it comes to ways to win, okay? If Chukagian can keep her out at a distance and pick her apart, she should be able to jab her into oblivion and win by a TKO or a decision, but I don't see Jessica allowing that. She's really good at getting inside, and you saw what she did to Rose, their first, or was it the second fight, and she dumped her on her head, and knocked her out. She's that strong, and I don't have any doubt that she can pick up Chukagian and dump her if she wants. Plus, her jiu-jitsu and wrestling, I believe, are better, I think. But her punching power definitely is better. So if she gets in and starts dropping bombs, I see Caitlin as getting knocked out. Okay, so I'm seeing Caitlin by decision or TKO if she can keep her at range. Okay, but Jessica is not it's hard to keep her at range. I don't think you can do it. I really don't, because she'll rush in. She'll take the heat. She'll take the punches because she can take a punch. And she'll come in, and once she gets in, she starts going like a machine gun and just starts blasting it from every angle. So I'm going to go with Andrade on this one. I think she's going to get a knockout or a TKO. I don't think it's going to go to submission. I think it's going to be a knockout or a TKO or a decision by Chukagian, but I'm going to favor Jessica Andrade on this one, okay? All right, that's going to be a good fight, though. And the main card, we have Brian T-City Ortega, and he hasn't fought for a while. He took a serious beatdown from Max Holloway. In fact, looking at the stats of that fight, Max Holloway hit him with 259 significant strikes. And they did this comparison, and in 5 of Brian Ortega's last fights, he didn't absorb 238 strikes with all five fights combined. So Max Holloway, kind of snatched his soul, man, on that fight, because he just beat him. It was horrible. They should have stopped that fight, but T-City, he's not a quitter, but he took a lot of punishment, and so he's been out for a while. And I think he had some injuries that he had to get fixed as well. So, you know, but he's back. He seems to be in great shape, great spirits, and it's been a long time. It's been over a year, I believe. He's still the number 2, whereas the Korean zombie Chan Sung Jung, we're just going to call him the zombie. That's a lot easier to say. He's ranked at number 4. The zombie, whew, he's a beast, man. He doesn't quit. That's why they call him the zombie. He just doesn't quit. You can hurt him and he just keeps moving forward. He's just a fantastic fighter. Both of these guys are fantastic fighters. Now, going over their stats and going over the, their characteristics as far as height, almost equal, 5'8" to 5'7", weight, 145, 145, reach 69 to 72. So that's not too bad. And then the leg reach 39 to 38. And so they're pretty evenly matched as far as physical capabilities go, physical, numbers and stats. And if you look at their wins, Ortega is 21% KO or TKO, whereas the zombie is 33%. So he's a knockout guy, and he's going to finish you. Now submissions, look at this. This is interesting. Submissions, Ortega 50%, the zombie 53%. So these guys, if they go to the ground, man, I see some great transitions. I see some great grappling and movement. And I don't see either one of them holding each other down very long. I think there's going to be a lot of, position changes when they go to the ground, if they go to the ground. I know they both like to strike too. And then percentages by decision is Brian Ortega 29% and the zombie 13%. So the zombie likes to finish fights. He wants to get it done. And so does Ortega. I mean, he definitely does. But when you look at the decisions, he's got a heck of a lot more decisions than the zombie. Their significant strikes are almost comparable all the way down the line, except for absorbed per minute. Brian Ortega absorbs a lot more punishment than the zombie. Brian Ortega per minute absorbs 7.3 strikes per minute, whereas the zombie absorbs 3.77. And on defense, Brian's a little bit less with 50%, and the zombie, he's at 60%. Grappling, zombie has the upper hand at 0.81, whereas Ortega has a 0.51. Takedown accuracy, the zombie again 41% to Brian 16%. And takedown defense, the zombie again wins that one with a 75% to 56%. And submission average, Brian Ortega's past fights, he's got 1.3 to the zombie 0.64. So there you go, guys. Who am I picking to win this one? This is probably one of the toughest ones to pick. It really is, because Brian, you wonder, did Max Holloway really snatch his soul? Or does Brian have something to prove that he's back, and he's back stronger? I know he changed his whole coaching staff, his team. He mentioned he made some drastic changes that were needed. And the Korean zombie, that dude, he's pretty consistent, So who are you going to give it to? Man. This is a hard one, but I'm going to have to go with the zombie. I think the zombie is going to finish Ortega. So that's my call. And it's going to be a great fight. It's this Saturday on Fight Island, and it's going to be a doozy. And they've got, I think, another fight, which is the next one up is Gaethje versus Khabib, or Khabib versus Gaethje, I should say, because Khabib's the champ. But going to be a great fight card. And if it was anything like the past one, man, there were fireworks. There were a couple of boring fights, but other than that, the fight card was spectacular. This card looks like it's going to be just as good. All action fighters, and so there's going to be a lot of violence. and I'm looking forward to it. Anyway, thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Knuckle Sandwich MMA, I do appreciate it. I'm getting ready to start promoting now that I'm getting more familiar with how the show's going and the feedback and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see how it goes. But what I always say at the end, keep punching. Don't stop punching. All right, you guys, have a good one. We'll see you after the fight.